Hello, everybody, and welcome to the world, or welcome to the world, should I say. Um, Two subjects today. I've done a remote viewing search recently for a missing cat, which unfortunately turned out rather badly. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is doppelgangers. For those who don't know, doppelgangers are people who look exactly like you. I don't mean people who look a little bit like you. I mean exactly like you. But I'll come to that in a little while. Firstly, the sad story of the cat. Somebody come knocking my door the other week with a wanted or missing poster, should I say, for a cat that had gone missing. And asked what had happened and whatever. And it was somebody who lived just around the corner from me. And they seemed to think that their cat may be on the gardens of the houses near to where I am, which is a little bit of distance away. So they were going around house to house, sort of asking anybody to check the garages and outbuildings and sheds and stuff in case this cat had been trapped somewhere. So I explained to this young woman who was looking for the cat, I explained to her that I'd done psychic remote viewing in the past with a lot of success for missing dogs and cats and stuff. And I said I'd do one for her if she wanted. And she said, oh, yeah, anything. So I did a search using a map and a photograph of the cat. And I found that the hotspot, which is what I get like a warm feeling on my hand when I go over the map. That's where the location of the missing animal or whatever it is located. And it was right at the back of their house, these people's house, which I thought was a bit weird. But their house is back onto some other houses on the main road. So I reported back to these people and suggested that they do a search or knock the doors of these houses on the main road whose garden's back onto theirs, which sure enough they did. And unfortunately they contacted me back to say that very, very sadly, they found the cat in one of these gardens at the back of their house, exactly where I said it was. And unfortunately it had fallen in a pond and drowned. Apparently the sides of this pond were very steep and the cat was unable to get out, which is, I think you should never have a pond anyway. I must admit, I don't like ponds in gardens. To me, they're just an accident waiting to happen. But if you're going to have them, you should at least have a platform where animals can get out, because things like hedgehogs, squirrels, anything can fall in, or domestic animals, particularly cats and stuff. Anyway, this poor cat had fallen in and drowned. And it was exactly where I told him, on houses on the main road that backed onto theirs. But at least I guess they found out, what's happened and whatever. So hopefully they can move on. But it's, like I said to you before, we remote view, and it's oftentimes quite distressing. It's not usually a good outcome with these things. I mean, I've found cats alive in the past, and I've told you about that before. And I've oddly enough, one of the first things I always do is I always tell the cat to go home. Now people laugh at this and think, what the hell are you talking about, But that's the first thing I do, and it's surprising how many times the following day the cat turns up at the owner's house, just makes its way home. Could be coincidence, of course. I'm sure people will say it is. But you never know. And my view is, if there's anything you can do to help, then you should do it, because it helps people out and it helps the animal as well. But in this case, obviously, we had a very sad outcome to this, quite tragic. So that wasn't very good. But what I was going to talk to you again, or the other thing I was going to talk to you was about doppelgangers. Now, I've had some very, very weird experiences with the effect of doppelgangers. And going back a number of years to about 1980s, this was. I lived in a place called Kilmarsh near Sheffield. And I used to regularly shop at a place called Morrison's at Staveley. And we used to go there every Friday night, type of thing. Anyway, while I was there one time, this guy comes up to me and starts talking to me, like as if I'm his best mate, or at least somebody he knows very well. And he came up and he says, "Oh, how do, Brian? How you going on? Blah, blah, blah. How's the wife? How's this? How's that? And how's other?" And I said to him, "Sorry, mate, I've got to stop you here. I'm not who you think I am." I said, "You getting me mixed up with somebody else." And he goes, "Are you called Brian?" I said, "No, I'm not. No." I said, "My name's Dennis." He said, "Well, you live in Killamarsh, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, actually, I do, yeah." He said, "And don't you play golf for Killamarsh Dynamos, a local football team?" I said, "No, no." And this guy just looked at me absolutely stunned. He obviously thought that I was this guy. And not only that, it was quite obvious he knew this Brian very well. It wasn't like a casual acquaintance or something like that. He clearly knew him very well by the fact he just launched into quite a personal conversation with me, thinking that I'm this Brian. Anyway, that was bizarre enough, but it got even worse because a couple of weeks later, virtually the same thing happened again. Somebody else came up to me, talking to me, thinking that they knew me. And I had the same thing again. I had to explain to them that I don't know you. You know, "Oh, aren't you Brian from Killamarsh?" I said, "No, I do live in Killamarsh, but my name's Dennis. I'm not Brian." "Oh, right, yeah." Oh. And they're looking at you sort of puzzled as if to think, "Are you having a laugh or something?" You know, as if it's, you know, when people look at us, if they don't quite believe you, what you're saying. And blow me down, over the next 6 months, this happened about 4 or 5 times. And the weird thing was, it was always in the same place, always in the same supermarket. Never had it happen anywhere else. It was always in this same supermarket. And it was just bizarre, the most bizarre thing I've ever come across. And like I said, this went on for about 6 months. And it happened to me, 5 or 6 times, something like that. And each time I had to explain to this person who was launched into a conversation with me, "Hang on a minute, I'm not who you think I am." "What? What are you talking about?" You know, weird. It's a very weird feeling having somebody talk to you who thinks they know you and you've got no idea who they are. That you don't know them, you know? It's a really, really strange feeling. And they have to explain to them as well, you know, the situation. And it didn't happen to me for ages and ages and ages. And then I moved about, in 2008, I moved. And I moved around quite a bit for a while. And then I bought a house. And not long after moving in, I started getting people walking up to me in the street when I've got my dog. Now, at the time, I had a golden Labrador who sadly passed away a few years ago. And I'd be out walking with him, and people would come up to me, start talking to me as if they know me. And I'd say to them, "Sorry, can I just stop you? You get me mixed up with somebody else." I mean, they literally got launched into a conversation along the lines of, "Oh, you're going down to so-and-so this week and blah, blah, blah. Are you going to say, oh, will we see that?" You know, as if they really know me well. They're not like casual acquaintances. It's obvious from the conversation that they think they know me. Whoever it was they thought they mistook me for. They obviously knew this guy very well. And I'd explain to them. And they'd look at me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. You're not so-and-so." "No. Well, that's funny. You look just like him. And he's got a dog exactly like yours. Same breed, he looks exactly like him." Talk about doppelganger. Now, this happened to me several times. And it always happened, weirdly, in the same place, on the same road. I'd be walking down this particular piece of road that I used to walk down when I was taking the dog a walk. I used to have like a regular walk, you know. And it was always in the same place. Somebody would come up to me and start talking to me, and I'd have to explain that I'm not the person they think that I am. And this other guy's got a dog exactly like mine, and he looks like me. I bumped into somebody who knows me very well. And he says, "Do you know what? Weirdest thing happened to me has been happening to me." I said, "What?" He says, I've seen you coming past my house with the dog loads of times, and I'm waving to you and shouting to you, and you're just ignoring me. And you just walk past and blank me completely on the other side of the road. And I said, oh yeah, when was this? He said, well, it's happened to me about 3 or 4 times. And then in the end, I saw you again, waved to you, you got a dog with you, waved to you, you just blanking me again, ignoring me. And he says, and then, next thing, I walked across the road. And as I got right up to this bloke, I started talking to him. And he's got a dog exactly like yours. He says to me, I suddenly realised it wasn't you. I said, you're joking? And he said, no. And I told him about these other people who I'd seen who mistook me for this guy. He says, do you know what? He says, I would have sworn that were you. Now, this guy has known me since I was a kid. Right? We grew up together. Right? He knows me very, very well. And yet, this doppelganger fooled him. And not only that, not only did this guy look exactly like me, but also he got an identical dog. You know, what are the chances of that? And my mate said to me, he says, you could have knocked me over with a feather, he says. Honestly. When I got up to this bloke and I started talking to him, and as soon as he started talking to me, I realised it wasn't you. Weird. Absolutely weird. And like I said, this is somebody who knows me very, very well. And he said, bizarre thing was, he'd even got similar clothing to what you wear when you're taking the dog out. And I said, well, it's an amazing coincidence, that, isn't it? Somebody who looks exactly like me. And then, not only that, he's got exactly the same dog. And weird thing is, though, I'd never seen this bloke. Now, I'd have thought I'd have bumped into him because he's obviously walking his dog around here. And you know what people are like, they tend to go to the same parks and the same places, same woods or whatever. Never seen this guy. And yet my mate had seen him probably half a dozen times walking past his house. And he'd been waving to him. He's wondering why we're ignoring him. Of course, he's shouting my name and this bloke's just walking on because it's not him. Absolutely bizarre. And I had those sequence of events, probably 30 years apart, where people have actually thought it was me. And that's absolutely extraordinary. And, you know, I was watching a program the other week. Well, it was one of these things on YouTube. And they're on about doppelgangers. Because now, because of technology, it's dead easy to find if you've got a lookalike doppelganger, it's easy to find them because they've got face recognition software now. And what you can do is there's a website somewhere where you can go on, put your details on, and then it'll go on the internet looking for photographs that match yours. So it'll go on all social media accounts and stuff, and anywhere else where people have posted. And in no time, it'll come back with people who look like you. And there were people on there who were claiming to be doppelgangers. To be honest, some of them were absolutely spot on. You literally couldn't tell people apart. They're actually closer than twins. Some of them weren't so. They looked a bit similar, but they were different build and stuff like that, you know. But the weird thing is as well, is that when they do find genuine doppelgangers, they often live quite close to each other. They often have very, very similar lives. They'll have similar jobs. They'll be married to similar people. They'll go on holiday in the same place. So not only are they physically alike, but they act alike and their life is alike as well, which is a bit bizarre if you think about it. And it makes you wonder about the whole thing about what life really is. You know, is this real, or is this some kind of sort of hologram? Or people are saying this now, They think that what we think is real life isn't life at all. Like, people talk about living in the Matrix and stuff. And this is some kind of falsely generated piece of equipment that's generating like some giant virtual reality game or something. And every now and again, there's a bit of a glitch. And it puts two people who look identical to each other in the same location. Because, of course, if before the days of advanced technology, if you might live somewhere 400 miles away from a guy who looks exactly like you. But chances are you'd never find out, because people didn't get in touch with each other in them days, when there were no social media and the internet wasn't around so much. Because now, everybody's a click away from everybody else in the world. Well, virtually everybody else in the world who's got that kind of technology. So now we're far more likely to meet up with people who look like us. So perhaps this is why if you like, the Matrix is unraveling a little bit. And there's all sorts of weird glitches appearing now. And, the internet is absolutely jam-packed full of all these weird things happening and glitches and stuff. And I wonder if it's because of that are we like bits of consciousness trapped in some kind of a holographic projection? And that's all life actually is. Makes you wonder, because by definition, if you think about it, the chances of you looking like somebody else who's not related to you should theoretically be incredibly remote. The possibility must be remote. Different if it's a family member, because you could say, people like each other, which they do. I mean, we've all met, for instance, brothers and sisters who you can hardly tell them apart, and they're not even twins. That's the thing. You can barely tell them apart. And we've all come across that, which is to be expected. But these other people aren't even related. They've no relation to each other at all. They've done DNA tests and stuff like that and found out they're not even vaguely related in any way, shape or form. So why do they look alike? To the point where we can hardly tell them apart. And they've even got these people and done this computer recognition and whatever. And that the computer can hardly tell them apart either. Which is weird stuff. But I can tell you something though, it is a weird feeling when somebody comes up to you and they're convinced they know you. And they're talking to you like that you're their best mate. And you have to say to them, excuse me, you're getting me mixed up with somebody else. And they look at you like this, what? And you say, I'm not who you think I am. This Brian or whatever it is, name they mention, that's not me. And then they just look at you stunned. I've seen this look on people's faces, and I've seen it probably a couple of dozen times with different people as well who have made the same mistake. But the weird thing is, like I said, I did it in the 1980s. I had a batch of these that lasted about 6 months. Then nothing for years and years and years. And then I had this more recently, within the last 10 years, again. So, and the second occasion, not only do I look exactly like this other guy, but I've also got exactly the same type of dog. So I got a doppelganger. I was a doppelganger, and my dog's doppelganger as well. So what are the chances of that? My God. Well, anyway, I'd be interested to hear if anybody else has ever had similar experiences of the old doppelganger effect. And if you have, leave me a little message. And if you would, click on the notifications and the like button and all that stuff. And hopefully I'll see you again. I've not seen you for a couple of weeks because, believe it or not, I lost my voice. I've had one of these funny viruses. Oh, don't worry, I had the checks and everything and tested negative for that other thing that's supposed to be going around that we can't mention, because if I do, this will be deleted instantly. And mind you, some people said it was a big improvement, me losing my voice. It's a bit nasty, isn't it? Anyway, see you again. Bye. Love you all.